Hi, I'm Alison Braun. My pronouns are she and her. I've been a photographer for over 40 years. I started shooting shows in Los Angeles in 1981. I just noticed how better it is for women right now. When Marla and I, who have been friends for almost 50 years, when we started doing photographs, there weren't a lot of us. Certainly not in bands and not in the crowd. And when I came back into East LA and I met Oginee, and I was just absolutely thrilled to see how many women were involved. And it's great for art, it's great for music, and I'm just happy to be a part of history. Keep in mind, when you think of cut back, take the record scratch, and go back 40 years, there was no internet, there was no digital photography, and the way that we had to do it was literally go into our collective darkrooms, print pictures, and hand them to somebody, or start our own fanzine. I would go to a show, go up to one of the guys in MDC, I'm like, hey, here's some photos of you, put me on the guest list and I'll take pictures, And that's how it works. I'll give you pictures if you let me in. And that's kind of what I did. I would show up to shows, early, like at 6 o'clock when people would be loading stuff in. I looked just like this. I would show up, I'd walk in, I'd sit down, and then I would find someone and go, hi, I'm Alison, I take pictures. I'll give you pictures if you give me a pass. And they're like, sure, go away. I'm like, okay, so that's what happened. Eventually people got bigger, and they got more famous or they made careers, and I just kind of followed them into, from punk to metal to arena. But the collaboration was personal. You had to look someone in the eye and say, hi, I'm so-and-so, may I take your picture? Yeah. And it was a lot different now. So I'm going to talk about, not Jell-O, yes, that is the tie I buried my father in. We all have heard that story a million times. Goleta, the most photographed punk show in history with the Misfits. I'm going to talk about this one. Blast. The reason why I'm going to talk about Blast is this one photo spans 2 parts of my career. Someone asked me, what's the band you shot the most? I said Blast. Wow. 15 times. This is William Duvall. He was playing guitar. For those of you who are old school punks, he was from the band Neon Christ, and he had moved to Santa Cruz to be in Blast. And that's how I knew him. Literally 30 years later, we met again when he sang for Alice in Chains. I'm giving myself chills, 2 parts of my career, because we were kids, teenagers, and then I met Alice in Chains. They became some of my first friends when I moved to Seattle. And they were like, I don't know anybody here, and I met them, and I photographed them, and we became friends. And then when Lane Staley tragically died, and the rest is history, big shoes to fill. William came in and started singing for Alice in Chains, and that bridged my career across 2 genres, different states. And Will reminded me of a story from, I think it was might have been Simi Valley or somewhere. We're at a party, and the cops came, old story. We didn't want to get arrested by the cops. I didn't want to have to explain to Big Stan, my father, why I'm in jail. Because he would have left me there. He reminded me of that many times. If you ever get arrested, you're going to stay there. We ran away from the cops, and we ran into some random neighbor's yard, and I gate checked. Apparently I door checked the sliding door of some random house, and it was open. And we went into this house at night, and watch the cops run by, and we're just hiding in this random living room, and hopefully not to get either arrested by the cops for now breaking and entering, which would have been a worse story than just getting arrested by the cops. And William thought, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. You're fearless. We just went into this random person's house, and I'm a person of color, and this is not going to end well for me. Right, he would have been blamed. It was just awful, and I just thought he was such a good storyteller. And whenever I look at these photos, I just think of a career full circle, and that was the thing. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you should change your last name to Chains.
Alice. I really wanted to show some of my Seattle stuff, but there's this guy who's in charge of the Punk Rock Museum who doesn't think that the Seattle sound is punk enough for him.
Did I say that more than once?
I think I wanted Soundgarden right here, and you're like, nah. So we have
Joe.
So that was the
no Melvins.
Yeah, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's good.